Yeah.
What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. We're going to get into WrestleMania 41, Night 1, WrestleMania 41, Saturday from April the 19th, 2025. A pretty okay show overall. I do have some complaints, especially talking about the first two matches. Those really kind of took me out of it for a little bit. They really did, and I'm not going to hold you guys up with that. I'm not going to lie to you about that. The first two matches really did kind of piss me off. Because in my opinion, those two matches should have just taken place on Raw. And there were parts of the show where the crowd was just not into stuff. Like, it seemed to me throughout the vast majority of this show that the crowd was really silent, at times not even really interested in most of anything. And to me, that's sad. But, I mean, it is what it is, because you pay all that damn money, you ought to act a fool, in my opinion. I'm not saying for everything, but for, most of the stuff, you should act a fool for. But, it is what it is. So, we kick WrestleMania off with a video package narrated by Triple H. He mentions how every story has heroes and villains, but in this game, it can be difficult to tell which is which. And then we get, then we see fan reactions mixed with highlights from previous WrestleManias. So, Triple H shows up. He welcomes everyone to Las Vegas, where for the first time ever, everyone is being seen by the entire globe. He welcomes everyone once more, and then pyro goes off. Then we see Fatal Fury's Salvatore Gran Akaki or whatever. Akuki? I don't know. It's just some guy. I mean, who knows? He's a music producer. I don't really know a bunch of these mainstream cats. I really don't. I don't. I'm not gonna hold you. So Jey Uso, he had his entrance. It was a long one. The Las Vegas cheerleaders, they were in between the fans dancing in the stadium. They were yeeting. Everybody was doing it. We see one of the guys from Saudi Arabia. He's the chairman of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I think his name is Turk Ali. Can't pronounce his last name. So he was there. So that was interesting. But Jay's entrance was like a good 6.5, 7 minutes, basically. I'm like, damn. Gunther had like a 3-minute entrance. So this leads us into the first match of the night. Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso wins. But Jey Uso taps out Gunther. Yes, I'm not going to lie to you. Jey Uso tapped out Gunther, and this pissed me the fuck off. Why? Why would you have somebody like Gunther tap out? That makes no sense. And Jey really didn't have the hold in all that tight. I don't get it. It would have been better for him to win at least with like 3 Uso splashes, and that's how he should have put away Gunther. The match itself was a little bit too long for my liking. Gunther worked a really slow style. Didn't really like it. Nothing but a bunch of chops and stuff. Towards the middle of the match, Gunther went out. He was about to walk out, and the official was holding back Jey or whatever for a brief second. This allowed for Gunther to hit Jey with the belt. And Jey kicked out. Jey and Gunther, they both used the powerbomb and everything. Jey kept kicking out of Gunther's powerbomb. Multiple super kicks, multiple Uso splashes and spears. And like I said before, Jey ended up tapping out Gunther. Not good. I think Jey would have gotten a better reaction if he would have pinned Gunther versus tapping him out. But the whole point of this was to get the gold onto Jey. Makes sense. I'm hoping Jey doesn't have a long title run. I would, if I had the pen and paper, I would book Jey to be champion for no longer than about 2 to 3 months. Nothing beyond that. I don't want him to lose it at Backlash. Maybe he loses it at maybe sometime in June. I know there's going to be a pay-per-view in June. Or if not there, maybe have him lose at Money in the Bank, which is going to be in July. But to me, 3 months is a little bit too much. But that to me would be the best bet. But I'm pretty sure most of us do not want to see Jey Uso versus Gunther Part 5. I really don't. It is what it is. The match needed to do what it did. It's fun. But I really just didn't like that finish. It was poorly done. And really, you want to kind of protect Gunther because, they mentioned on commentary how he's had long championship reigns from like the NXT UK championship where he held that for like, I think 800 something days. He held the Intercontinental Championship for 666 days. And then he ended up holding the world title for like, I think 200 something days. So I don't know. I don't know what Triple H is going to do with Gunther going forward. I don't know what he can do. Maybe he puts him in personal feuds for a while. I would definitely keep Gunther away from the championship for the rest of the year. If you want to circle back, maybe do it sometime next year. But definitely for the remainder of 2025, definitely keep Gunther away from the world title scene. Please. Just put him in personal feuds for the rest of the year. You got 8 months. Just put him in the personal feuds. Moving on. This leads us into the New Day versus versus the War Raiders. I don't know why I call them the Viking Raiders. Versus the War Raiders for the WWE World Tag Team Championships. The New Day, they win. Who really cares? This was a boring match. It's never should have even been on the card, in my opinion. I don't care about New Day. I really don't care about the Viking Raiders. The War Raiders. At this point, it would be better off for the War Raiders to go to somewhere like an AEW or whatever, something like that. I'm not a fan anymore of the War Raiders. I used to like them when Vince was in control. When Vince was when they did stuff with the New Day back in 2019 and 2020, that was pretty cool stuff because it was the pandemic, especially in 2020. But 2019, they did some really decent character work. Now they're just back to being like work rate guys. Not really into it. Really wasn't into it. Basically, the finish was kind of lame too. So Xavier Woods, he tagged in. He ended up landing a double stomp onto Ivar, and then Kofi Kingston just held down Ivar's foot. And that's how they won the match. Don't really care. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they ran away like they stole something, which they did, which is fine. I'm guessing they do the rematch probably on Raw, which will make the most sense. And then from there, I don't know what you do with the with the War Raiders. I guess you could send them back down to NXT for a while. That's what I would do to kind of beef up that tag team division down there. But that's all I can think of, really. All right, moving on. This leads us into Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Really good match here. A bunch of power moves. I like the entrance of Jade Cargill. How we had a weather reporter by the name of Jim Cantor. He's a storm tracker, so it's pretty cool. I love how he did it. Jade was wearing white and gold, so I did like that. And Jade actually looks good with short hair. She really does. She looks really attractive with short hair. She looks sexy, honestly. I ain't gonna hold you. Damn, she looks good. Naomi looked good in this, too. Jade Cargill winning was the right decision. It makes sense. The match was actually pretty decent. I'm not gonna hold you. I dug the X Factor on the outside. That was great. I I love how Naomi hit the blockbuster in the match as well. The off the top rope bulldog was good too. That was a good spot there. Jay just basically did like a bunch of power moves. So Naomi was trying to Naomi locked in a modified rings of Saturn. That was pretty cool. Naomi was about to do like a drop kick. Jay was able to hit Jay flips Naomi up, and then she landed a powerbomb, which was fucking sick. I was like, damn. And then she hit Jaded for the 1, 2, 3. Makes perfect sense. The match wasn't long. I think it was like a good 8 to maybe 11 minutes. So, to me, that's fine. It makes sense. Naomi losing makes perfect sense. What do you do with Jade Cargill going forward? I really don't know. Maybe they're probably going to build her up to go after the WWE Women's World Championship. That's what they're probably going to end up doing with her. I could see Jade Cargill winning that title come SummerSlam. So that does make sense. Moving on. This leads us into Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight in a really solid match here. This was one of LA Knight's best matches to date. Jacob Fatu ends up winning via the moonsault. He ended up hitting 3 of them, which was insane. There was one spot in the match where Jacob Fatu got caught in midair by the BFT, the blunt force trauma. That was great, but he rode out of the ring, which was smart. And Jacob Fatu ended up winning with 3 moonsaults. Jacob Fatu is special. He's amazing. Fucking awesome. So Haku was there, and he embraced with Jacob Fatu. That was great. Makes perfect sense. If you want to, you can do the rematch either on SmackDown, or you can wait until Backlash to do the rematch between LA Knight. Personally, I know a lot of people are gonna get mad at this, but I'll say it. I don't know if LA Knight's going to be in the main event title scene for a minute. I think you should move LA Knight back down to NXT for a small bit. Not long, but move him down there for a small bit. But if Triple H does see something in LA Knight, then he should basically have LA Knight at least have a mini feud with John Cena. At least. So, hopefully that does happen. But if not, then I'll just put LA Knight back in NXT for a little bit to build him right back up. Maybe keep him down there for a good, maybe 6 months. Or 3 to 6 months. And then when something opens up on SmackDown again, just, insert him in it. Moving on. This was great right here. We get a really good video package involving El Grande Americana. This was great. I loved it. This was excellent shit. So, a mariachi band, they're wearing El Grande Americana's mask, which is cool. So you get a really good entrance. So, El Grande Americana versus Rey Fenix. So, it was revealed on the Countdown show that Rey Mysterio did get injured for whatever reason, which is sad. It sucks. Also, WWE has now announced a partnership with AAA. That is awesome. This is great. Why? Because Phoenix and Penta used to be there. They used to wrestle there. That's great. Excellent stuff. Vikingo, who's been in TNA a little bit, and AEW, he was there. So that was really cool. I think the WWE AAA partnership should be fun. They are going to be doing a show sometime in June. I think it's like June 9th or June 12th. One of those 2 dates. But that's going to be some really cool shit. The match in itself was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Grande Americana winning was the right call. This doesn't really hurt Rey Fenix. It just doesn't. Really good match. Chad Gable hit, my bad. Grande Americana hit an amazing reverse 450. That shit was awesome. I thought it was going to be the finish, but it wasn't. So, towards the end of the match, Grande Americana was able to put in the metal plate. He put it in his mask, able to slide it in there. Rey went for a kick. He ended up hitting his foot on there, so I know he might have a broken foot, maybe. And then Rey ended up getting hit in the head, and then Chad Gable ended up doing the headbutt, and then he ended up putting Rey in the ankle lock. So So Grande Americana ended up winning via the flying headbutt, which was great. So good stuff. Perfect. Makes perfect sense. So Vikingo post-match gets into the ring and helps Rey Fenix up after the match. So makes perfect sense. I'm loving what they're doing with both Grande Americano as well as Rey Fenix. So this is good. But this doesn't really hurt Phoenix. It just doesn't. I get it, but it's not going to hurt him in the long run. It's not. Phoenix is good. He is. I'm a fan of his work. So, there's that. But he'll be fine from this. He can definitely come back from it. It's not going to hurt. It's really not going to hurt him at all. So we cut to an announcement from the WrestleMania kickoff show. I mentioned that before. But WWE, they acquired the AAA promotion. They're working together, which is great. Moving on. So this leads us into Alicia Taylor. She introduces Shawn Michaels. I'm pretty sure Shawn Michaels is tired. He had on a nice suit and a cowboy hat. He announced the attendance for WrestleMania Night 1, which is 61,467. That's pretty cool. Do I believe that shit? No, I don't. I really don't. I do not. It was probably like a good 58 or 59,000 people. Because I know all those tickets didn't get sold. Even if you cut ticket prices in half, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to fucking buy that shit. Hell no. Moving on. This leads us into Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. And my girl, Tiffany Stratton, wins. And I was shocked. I truly was. I cannot believe that Triple H ended up putting over somebody new over Charlotte. That is fucking amazing. So the match was pretty solid. Charlotte did her usual chops and big boots. She ended up hitting the natural selection. Tiffany was able to kick out of it. She ended up hitting a sit-down powerbomb in the match, that being Tiffany Stratton. Charlotte hit another natural selection. Tiffany ended up kicking out of it. Charlotte ended up locking in the figure 8. Tiffany was able to fight out. Tiffany was able to fight out of that. The finish came when Charlotte was going to go for the spear, but Tiffany moved out of the way. Tiffany ended up hitting the Alabama Slam. Then she did the rolling senton, and then she hit the prettiest moonsault ever for the 1, 2, 3. And this was great. I love this. This made me happy because I'm glad that Triple H finally got his head out of his ass and started thinking about the future. Are they going to do a rematch? Maybe at Backlash? Probably so. But it does make sense. I'm glad that Tiffany's able to still be, champion. Tiffany could very well hold the title until SummerSlam, which will make perfect sense. So, That makes perfect sense. I'm glad that Triple H was able to get his head out of his ass, and he made the right decision. Moving on, we get Alicia Taylor welcoming the Hall of Fame class of 2025 on the stage. That was pretty cool there. Main event of the evening: Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, with Paul Heyman in the corner of CM Punk. This match was solid. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Roman had a really good entrance. Seth Rollins had a pretty cool entrance as well. CM Punk had a great video package. This Fire Burns was playing, which was great. That was his old ECW theme. And then we get to see some of his history from Ohio Valley Wrestling to WWE. Then Living Color, they were there. They performed Color Personality Live. That was great. So the match itself was solid. I enjoyed it. So the match started off slow. Roman took control for most of the match, basically. Roman and Punk, they fought in the crowd for a good little bit, like a good 2-3 minutes. That was great. Then Seth Rollins brought in the steel chair, started beating up Roman and Punk with it. There were a lot of finishers in the match, so people started doing finishers like crazy, like, the stomp, the GTS, the pedigree, the spear, the Superman punch, you name it. Everybody starts spamming their finishers and signatures. So, basically, Roman, and Seth, they had their drama during the match. So, Punk was laid out near the announce table. Rollins was talking to Roman, saying that, you've lost everybody. You no longer have the bloodline. Paul's no longer there to help you out. Mox is gone. And he basically wanted to reunite the Shield. Roman's like, nah, fuck that. So Roman ends up, doing an uppercut. He ended up powerbombing both Seth Rollins and CM Punk through the announce table, which was great. That was awesome. So, Paul Heyman, while all three guys were down, he ends up walking over to the timekeeper's area, and he wanted to. He ends up bringing in a steel chair, and he hands it to CM Punk. CM Punk ends up beating up Roman Reigns briefly. Paul Heyman low blows CM Punk. Then Roman Reigns begins to smile. Heyman can't believe what he did. Paul Heyman tells Punk that he made him do it. This is his tribal chief. So Paul Heyman gets on his knees, pauses, and he gives Roman the steel chair. Paul Heyman says that he acknowledges his tribal chief. Heyman then hits CM Punk with the steel chair multiple times. Then Paul Heyman tells Roman to look at Seth. Paul Heyman tells Roman to hit Seth from behind. So Roman's about to go for the chair shot. Then Paul Heyman hits a low blow on Roman Reigns, which was great. Paul Heyman grabs the steel chair. He gives it to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins hits Roman in the back. And then Seth Rollins does the stomp for the 1, 2, 3. And he wins. This is great. This makes perfect sense. I think the reason why Paul Heyman aligned himself with Seth Rollins, mainly this is leading into a bigger story to where hopefully this bleeds into night 2, where Seth Rollins, along with The Rock and Travis Scott, they cost Cody Rhodes the title. So maybe that's where it is. Maybe Seth Rollins aligns himself with The Rock Travis Scott and John Cena, so you kind of have like your own version of the Authority / corporation. I think that's what they should do. That's what they're probably going to do anyway. So that's why this whole thing took place. This makes perfect sense. I'm glad that Seth has finally turned heel. Seth Rollins has always done his best work as a heel. If you go back to his Monday Night Raw Messiah gimmick back in the pandemic, that was fucking great. But when Seth Rollins is just a basic work rate babyface, he's not as good. But when he does the heel character and gimmick, I love it. So really good shit. The match itself was good. I was thoroughly into it, but it was super long. But I do like it. I like it. I like the fact that Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman have aligned themselves. And people know that Paul Heyman has constantly screwed his clients over, from, everybody. From Ryback to Curtis Axel to Brock to Punk to Roman. So, I mean, it happens. But it makes perfect sense. This was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I also enjoyed the co-main event, Tiffany Stratton retaining. So WrestleMania Night 1 overall was pretty okay. I could have done without the first, I want to say, 3 matches of the show. Would have been better if they wasn't even on the card. But all in all, the show itself was okay. But what did you guys think of WrestleMania 41 Night 1? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.